welcome to everyone on Facebook who's on our Safari Live page. It's great to have you with us, and I must apologize, we are experiencing some technical issues today, hence the regular morning safari not kicking off yet. The team in Juma is working as hard as they can to try and resolve this issue, and hopefully it won't take too much longer. So for now, we decided it would be a good idea to let whoever of you are on Facebook join us on Safari. Now, my plans are to try and track down some lions. There's a report of some lions just up ahead of us, so hopefully it won't take too long to get there. It's a beautiful morning in the Masai Mara in Kenya, and I'm teamed up with Ferg on camera today, and we've been out for about 45 minutes now, scratching around. We initially had a look for any sign of the Agama pride and all their cubs in a small riverbed where they spend a lot of time, but there was no immediate sign of them. So we decided to continue exploring the road networks, trying to familiarize ourselves with this ginormous playground that we are so fortunate to traverse. And it's tricky business out here. Everything looks quite similar once you're in these big grassy open plains, so it's going to take some time to know all the tracks, and it's vitally important because when the animals do move off-road through the blocks, if you know shortcuts and ways to loop ahead of them without having to follow them off-road, it can make our lives considerably easier. Interested to find out is which pride of lions these are. They are quite close to the Agama pride's territory, at least where they're hanging out now. And what I found fascinating in the short time that we have been here, or at least that I've been here, is that there's a lot of unknown with the lion dynamics. There's a lot of fluidity within the prides of the Masai Mara, and I'm told from the researchers that they act fairly differently to regular lion dynamics. And what I mean by that, in a nutshell, is that what tends to be the case is that lioness, who would ordinarily stay with their natal pride when they grow up, are often bombshelling and moving off and splitting and forming their own small prides, which is abnormal. It's not uncommon for young male lions to move off as they become adolescents, but it's not common for lioness to do that. So, really looking forward to getting to the bottom of this and working out who's who and what's what, and of course having you guys alongside for that journey. Now I'm a little bit concerned because I got some directions from the rangers who patrol the park and make sure everyone's behaving themselves, not off-roading, and they told us that somewhere up on this little hill to our left was where the lions were. Let's get a little bit closer. Who knows, maybe there are some lions lounging up in the long grass. Hello Ali, great to have you with us. You're interested to know if I've seen any leopards yet in the Mara, and the answer to that is no. And no cheetahs either, but a multitude of lion. And I'm sure it won't take long for us to work out the dynamics of the leopard, where they move, and the cheetah. And that way we'll hopefully be able to start bringing you more images of them sooner rather than later. Because there certainly is good leopard populations in the Masai Mara, possibly not as good as the Sabi Sands. And on top of that, all of them may not be habituated as well as the ones in the Sabi Sands are. So even though they may be here, they may be slinking off and hiding from us, which is typical of leopard behavior. I really do feel we will start to get our finger on the pulse, and there's one or two leopardess with cubs at the moment, but because we allowed such a huge area to traverse, it can sometimes make our life difficult because you'd have to drive 3 hours before you get to where one of the leopardesses with her cubs at an area called Double Crossing on the western side of the National Reserve. So that is one of our obstacles. Having as much space as we're allowed essentially is wonderful, but obviously getting from A to B can be tricky. But what we may start doing is setting ourselves at little satellite camps where we can overnight and therefore work certain areas more effectively. Hello James Richard, good to hear from you again. And you're interested to know if I've seen any critters, nocturnal critters, whilst we've been exploring on these all-night missions. And to be honest, I haven't, but Brent, luckily enough, picked up an aardvark with that incredible thermal imaging camera that we had access to for a while. So an aardvark's been seen. Other than that, though, not too much. I thought I saw a porcupine one night. I was screaming at David, the cameraman, because he couldn't find what I was calling a porcupine, and rightfully so, because it was just a nightjar on the road. Porcupine, porcupine! He was swiveling the camera all over the show, because he obviously saw that it was a bird, but in the wee hours of the morning, my eyes were deceiving me. But we certainly are going to see some cool animals after dark. It's just a matter of time, James. I've just seen a track here that looks to be a part of a lion track. Let me reverse a little bit more. With all of its grass, is a tricky place to track animals, but I would like to try and show you some lion tracks if my eyes are in fact. Okay, there we go. Here's a track. Hello, Lynn. You're interested to know how far are all the different prides and their territories in terms of miles. And at this stage, we actually don't know. But they are quite concentrated. There's a high concentration of lions in this area, and one of the figures that the researchers, when we went and met up with them, provided us was that there are on average 30 lion per every 10 square kilometers. So that's the kind of mean average across the Mara and the surrounding community conservancies, which act as a buffer around the triangle and the reserve. There's a huge amounts of conservancies which are owned by the community. They're still allowed to graze their cattle on those community conservancies at certain times of the year, and they get money back from the lodges that have built their camps on that land. So it's a great way in that local people have been able to vest their own interests into conservation and receive benefits from that. So there, I'm told the lions act more normally than they do here in terms of their pride dynamics, but it's just in the triangle and the reserve that they act a bit differently. Now I think that's the track there. Ferg just zooms in on that. Ooh, a little bit left. The left. Oh, that's the one. Apologies, I should have just let you do that yourself. So there's a lion track. You can see the 3 distinctive lobes at the back, and the 2 left-hand toes are a bit more prominent than the 2 on the right. So possibly our reports were correct, and as we look ahead now, I can see 2 vehicles stopped up ahead of us, and they are in the direction that these lion tracks are heading. However, it looks like they've just stopped to chat with one another. I'm just going to continue to scan with my binoculars, as we do have a good vantage point. So I'm actually just going to get to the end of this little crest here, and then we'll be able to get a better vantage point over this big plain. Oh, it's Mike in Florida. Haven't chatted to you since I left, so very good to hear that you're watching. And I was actually thinking about you the other day, yesterday, Mike, because there's an area that we drive through. Sadly, it's a low signal area. As we leave the camp, we go through a bit of a valley, and there's a beautiful river running through it, dense vegetation, and a few of us have seen the beautiful Narina Trogon there. So actually, Ferg spotted one, the only one that I've seen so far from being here. So we need to try and work out a way to show you that bird, and Mike's just asked for us to find some more birds. I'm not sure if you're still leading the Safari Live bird list. You probably are. But yeah, certainly looking forward to doing that. A lot of the birds here, Mike, I actually don't know. And to be brutally honest, I haven't had them high up on my priorities list. Like I said a bit earlier, learning the lie of the land is the most critical thing you can do when you arrive in a wilderness area, I feel. So that's what I've been focusing my efforts on. But we will certainly be opening up the bird book alongside you guys and working out what new birds are on offer for us here. There are going to be a whole bunch of them. Okay, so report of the line here was a good one, but it headed off into the sea of grass, which is going to obviously make things a bit complicated. But if they are still on the move, we should have a chance of seeing heads poking out of this long grass as they head through it. If they have up down for a rest, that would make our life near impossible. Hello, Jenny. You are interested to know if we are allowed to jump out of our vehicles at any time. So, even though we may be seeing lots of elephants in the reserve now, in the coming months they may go elsewhere in search of better food. So, again, it'll be an interesting scenario to watch unfold, to see how the elephant dynamics change. What I have noticed already is that we tend to find the elephants come down into the floor of the Mara from the Olololo escarpments every day and then head back up there in the evenings. And who knows how long that will continue for. I'm guessing once we get a lot more rain in this area, it's the dry season now, so once we get more rain here, they'll probably spend more time in the valley floor. Whereas now that it's dry, going up onto the hills,